I'm going to teach you the Masala method to drop your stubborn belly fat in just one simple video to do it forever. Once you've used the Masala method to drop stubborn belly fat, you won't need to look at information anywhere else. And I'm Nathan, I've worked with the South Asian community for the last 7 years, and we help South Asians get in amazing shape and stay in shape forever. And I was London's best personal trainer at some point, if that counts for anything. So I'm going to show you exactly how to get rid of the Indian stubborn belly fat, all the way down to exactly knowing how, why, and what. And at the end of this video, I'm going to show you the Masala method and exactly how you can do this starting tomorrow. The major problem when Indians try and drop body fat is that they look at their belly fat as the major thing that they need to focus on, as opposed to looking at the whole body. It's the most densest area, holds the largest amount of belly fat, and has the densest amount of fat in those areas, which means that looking at that as your major primary success is not going to be useful long term. The key driver when you're looking at fat loss is to look at total amount of body weight loss, body fat loss, as opposed to just focusing on one area. A lot of Indians get demotivated when the belly isn't coming down and they're just not doing everything right. Whichever way you're trying to lose your stubborn belly fat, from calorie deficits to diets to lemon waters and chais and herbal remedies, it all comes into the same bracket, that everybody wants to have this area gone. Not only does it that, from a health perspective, that's where the primary driver of type 2 diabetes comes from. So getting rid of that belly fat is really important from a health perspective from the South Asian community in the long term. But most people don't know how to get rid of it and go on diets and lose fat everywhere else. And then they end up falling off the diets because they get demotivated that they haven't got rid of this stubborn belly fat yet. So here's the exact science of how you can get rid of this stubborn belly fat forever. Let's teach you the Masala method, starting with M, which is measurable. So M starts with measurable. If you're doing a fat loss phase and you want it to be as best as possible to dropping stubborn belly fat, but also just dropping fat everywhere, you need to be able to measure what you can manage. So you'd be able to look at your body weight, look at your waist sizes, look at your macros, your food, your weighing scales. Everything you need to create an objective view is massively important. People who chronically go on diets and say, oh, I just want to feel better, never get to the end result. And especially when there's an objective truth, which is losing your stubborn belly fat, you want a particular place to go and aim towards. Otherwise, you can't get specific with your nutrition, you can't get specific with your activity, but everything needs to be measured so it can be managed. Too many people go with the wind into diets and they hope it works without there being some concrete measuring. A is for achievable. You probably set yourself on a diet where you're like, I need to lose 10 kilos by next week, or you go on a holiday in 2 weeks' time. Is that achievable to lose that stubborn belly fat? No. You need more of a realistic outcome where you can actually achieve the goal that you're trying to do. Not only with when it comes to achievable with targets, but also look at the achievability of the nutrition. Look at the factors of training, exercise. Have you set yourself up for failure, or are you achieving success? Here's an easy way that you can find out if you've set yourself up for a success when it comes to dieting and obviously your training. If you want to find out how your dieting is actually achievable with the diet that you go on, do you have a plan B? Do you know what to do when you are not doing the thing that you said that you're going to do? 2, is it easy? Can you physically do this with ease, repetitively every single day? And the third one is, can you do it in a busy week? Most people plan their diets, plan their routines around training, exercise, steps, supplements, around the optimal week or the perfect week. But most importantly, most people need to do it in a bad week or a busy week to make it truly consistent. That's what throws people off track, and they never create consistency to get that stubborn belly fat off. S is for specific. You need to be specific to get the fat off. If you're not losing weight every single week, if you're not dropping fat every single week, it's going to take longer than it takes, and you're going to be in a place that you don't know if you're actually making progress. Sometimes the visual shapes will not show, sometimes the scale will not go down. If you do things with specific focus and specific granularity, you will get the results that you need to. So here's some things that you need to be specific about. You need to be specific about how many calories you're on, what is your meal structure, how many meals you're having, 3, 4, or 5, and sticking to that. How many steps are you doing on a day-to-day basis, and are you doing that? How many cardio sessions, how many training sessions, and how many days did you follow the above 4? And if you're doing something different on weekends, what is the plan? What specifically are you doing socially? How many drinks out are you having? How many meals out? And most importantly, which is not taken into consideration, how many meals eaten out or at families? As we know, within the South Asian community, there's a lot of meals out that are cooked by other people. And when you're trying to get specific, they can take you off track because you can't be specific with someone else's food, the way they've cooked it, the oils. So you need to know how you can factor in all of these things to get the results that you want to get. Specific is, outside of the next point, which is the next A, the most important part of this. If you're not specific, you can't get results because you're guessing, which is not going to get you the belly fat off. The second A in Masala is adherence. When you look at the ability to lose fat wherever it comes from the body, you being able to stick to the specific, achievable and measurable plan is the whole game. In any part of life, if you stick to something long enough, it'll work. And it's important to know how you're going to stick to it, but also mostly you being objective with yourself about, are you sticking to the things that you need to? So most people think that going on a diet can be undone in a week, and it can be. You know, if you eat enough at the weekends, you can definitely create no fat loss happening the week after. Whereas how many days you're sticking to, when you're looking at dropping stubborn belly fat, or you're looking at making sure there's consistency within your day, you're thinking of things in 14 and 21 and 28 day periods, not 5 days on, 2 days off at the weekend. That's what yo-yo dieters do. That's what people who complain about having fat do. But people who get results and they drop that fat consistently end up doing it for 21 to 28 days consistently, with maybe then having a social event on the 29th day, for example. That's what creates true consistency, as opposed to something where it's a patchy 5 and 2 days. What do you do when no one else is watching? When it comes to adherence, it's not the times where you're with your friends or your family members, it's when you're overseeing the kids and the food just magically appears into your mouth, or when you've had a busy day at work. How do you then eat food or drink more wine or add more alcohol and then justify it to yourself? These are all objective measures that stop us from losing belly fat, because we don't recognize that we're eating over our calories and not being adherent and not sticking into that Masala method. Most people after 2 weeks of going on a diet will start guessing their food. They won't have measurements, they won't look at the calories, they'll think that they're okay, I've done it for a while. And this is another thing of creating less adherence, by just guessing your profile of your calories, your macros, just guessing the food that you're eating, hoping for the best, which then reduces down the chances that you're actually going to lose weight in the future. And lastly, is most time as you go on diets, when you last into that 21, 28 days, that's 6 months, you are looking at weekends and socials being a big barrier for most people. How are you actually acting? Are you specifically doing some type of calorie deficit? Are you doing buffering for the week before? Are you doing a portion size control? Are you doing the one plate rule? What are you doing to limit and control the accuracy of your food intake? If you don't have a strategy around socials and you're drinking what you want, eating what you want, but thinking that you're doing a good job, but you're not losing that belly fat, you're not doing it as accurate or adherently as you need to do to get the results that you want to get. And you might be thinking, I haven't even spoken about actual stubborn belly fat during this process, but those 4 areas are most important for any type of fat loss phase. And here is now we turn into more the stubborn belly fat side. L is for longer than you think. When we look at the South Asian community, when we look at the Indian community, the fat around those areas will just be a high density area, which means that there's less on the arms, less on the legs, less on everywhere on face, and it'd be held around the love handles, the man boobs, and that would just be how the genetics play out. From a genetics perspective, it's nothing that we can control or change. It's just simply how that transpired over years. And it's ultimately, when you look at, and when I coach for the last 7 years within the community, it's what can we do now, as opposed to looking back and blaming our genetics. There's too many South Asians, Indians with 6 packs or being lean right now to say that it's the genetic thing, because ultimately, if it was all the case, no one would be able to get 6 packs, but we've got so much proof that you can get those results. So here's why you need longer than you think, and here's what's going to come up during that time period that's maybe going to fall you off track, that you need to be aware of, that we would absolutely change. So first one is, as having worked with the South Asian community now and dropped so many kilos, face fat comes off first before belly fat. Depending on where you live in the world, whether it's the UK, Australia, America, you'll have family members that love to comment on whether your face getting leaner, and maybe some people will be concerned, parents, about you going on these diets and actually seeing the face come in first, and then the shoulders, you may look a bit skinnier, and you might brandish yourself as skinnier. And often that takes you away from your goal, because you start fearing getting skinny, and actually that's the route that you need to take down, which I'll talk about in a minute, to get to that position of not having that belly fat anymore. You can't lose the belly fat without the face, the shoulders, the arms fat coming off first. Ultimately, we don't choose where it comes off, but within the Indian community, it comes off the face, the shoulders, and the arms before anywhere else. You have to just deal with that and move on to waiting till this middle comes off after. Secondly, it's because it's high density, it is the largest area, so you have to wait the largest amount of time. And simply, it has the highest density, which means that you have to wait longer, because there is more specific fat in that particular area. Everybody wants it off now, but it comes off everywhere else. Third one is, most people get scared of a weight target. So for example, if you've been a weight that you were when you were 18 and you start losing weight and you get close to that number that you were 20 years ago, it can start scaring you into, oh, this is dangerous, this is weird. But remember, if you were like 85 kilos or 190 pounds at 16, that was what was abnormal, not the fact that you're going to be 190 or 180 pounds right now. Although weight targets are immensely important for you to aim towards and push towards so that you've got a target, don't let the weight that you've been previously or a new weight that you haven't been to yet stop you from getting the results. Let someone like myself, who has like a graph of the people that he's worked with in the last 10 years of what weight you'll need to be when you're lean, which you can find me on my Instagram, is that that will be able to tell you where you need to go to. So let the data lead you towards your weight target, not what you think is the worst. The worst thing for me is when people say, I don't want to be below 70 kilos, or I don't want to go below 160 pounds. And it's almost saying, and when you say that, you say that you're never going to get your results because you don't control what body weight you'll be. I don't control what body weight you'll be. The physique will show you when it's ready. And if that's 140 pounds, you got abs or you got rid of your belly, you've got rid of your belly 140 pounds. You can't be expectant of a body weight when you don't control it. It's like complaining about the weather. So have a weight target to work towards, but let someone with an educated guess have a weight target, but let someone with an educated guess who's worked with people for the last 10 years label that number as opposed to yourself. And the last thing, this is the process that you go from being fat right now, wanting to lose your belly fat. This is the process that you have to go through. Every single person goes through. You can't skip a phase. You can't jump through it. It was always the same every single time. You started at fat with stubborn belly fat. Then you lose the belly fat around your arms, your shoulders, your legs, and the belly starts to trim in a little bit more, but you still have a belly. Then you go to more defined and fat. So again, the arms come in again, the shoulders come in again. You might get some bicep veins if you're a guy. You might get some definition in your legs as a female, but yet you'll still have this midsection here where it will still be fat and it'll still be more flabby. Maybe actually the flab, it's more rubbery now, so it's a little bit more wobbly than it used to be, which is a good sign that it's getting oxidated. And then after you get rid of all that leanness here and it's a bit more wobbly in the midsection, then you'll get lean and you'll get defined, because that's the midsection and it's got nothing else left to go. When this is lean, these are lean, these are lean, this is getting leaner. The only other things that can go lean is your chest and your abs and your midsection, which is what time will do. So it takes longer than you think. And I would always put a time frame on it, being 6 months to a year. If you're now think you need to lose 20 kilos, you're more than likely need to lose 30 to have, reduce your stubborn belly fat. If you only need to lose 4 kilos, you actually really need to lose 10. Spending more time doing it probably ends up getting you your goals. Everyone underestimates the time that it needs to take on anything that we do versus we actually need more time. So spend 6 months doing this process and you'll actually get the goals that you want to get to, and don't let any of these things detract you away from it. And the last A is activity, because being able to lose stubborn belly fat is not just around nutrition, adherence. You're going to need to burn calories off, and as you lose more weight, you're going to need to actually burn more calories because your body doesn't burn them as much as they used to. So if you want an amazing result like having a lean physique, having a flat stomach without there being stubborn belly fat, you're going to need to think of things differently as you would do if you're just losing a little bit of weight. You probably heard before, 10,000 steps is great. It's good if you want average results. It's good if you can only do that. However, if you have the want and desire to have a lean physique and not have that stubborn belly fat, not to have a belly fat at all, you're going to need to take average things and do more of them better and better and better and do more so that it becomes not average, it becomes unique and actually a higher tier beneficial. So I would take your 10,000 steps and you want to start doing 15 to 20,000 for a short period. If you've done, let's say for example, over a 6 month period, if you've got 6 months here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, is you can do your 10K steps for the first 2, then you can do 15, and then you can do 20. So for the last 6 weeks, you can do 20, the other 6 weeks or 8 weeks, you can do 15, and then the rest you do 10. Over that time period, you'll ramp up your calorie expenditure, which means that you're burning more calories. And as long as you're adherent, specific, you're being measured and achievable, then you're going to be able to get faster fat loss and better fat loss as you get towards that part where you've only got stubborn body fat left. As well as that, as you become a smaller person, because we have to lose weight to get this belly fat off, is you will then burn less calories because you're a less weight, which means that you will have to work harder and do more things to burn more calories or eat less food, and that's not very enjoyable. So you want to do as much activity as you can do without sacrificing on the food, because that's harder to follow, more hungry, more cravings, more risk of rebounding afterwards. So we do as much activity as we can do so that we don't have to rely on food going down to nothing. With cardio, I would suggest doing 3 times 30, so 3 times 30 for those first initial 2 months. And then after that, you can add 10 minutes per other week. So every other week, you can add 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, and 10 minutes. and that will give you, you'll work your way up to 60 to 90 minutes depending on where you get to. You can split that over the days or over the weeks in different patterns and strategies depending on your time and your ability to do that within a routine, and that will not be included within your step count. That will be additional on top of your step count, because that is where the magic happens in terms of you need to burn a lot more calories than you think you do to be able to get to that level of deficit, to get that level of physique that you want to get to. So hopefully you enjoyed the Masala method of getting your stubborn belly fat off. And these are the cornerstones of losing fat in any diet, but being able to specifically do it with stubborn belly fat takes these extra 3 steps with the adherence, the longer than you think, an activity to really ramp up the ability to do so. If you've seen one of these 3 things that you're not doing right now, go and do them, get the best results that you can do, and most importantly, don't overlook any part of this. This is 6 things out of a cluster of 50 million that you probably see on the internet. But if you measure what you can manage, if you set an achievable goal, if you get specific with your nutrition, training, steps, diet, and the exact amount that you're doing, and do that every single day, and you do that with a level of adherence that is, really high, you will get the results by just doing those things. Now, your level of expectation will be longer than you think, but that's okay. If you get an amazing physique, you can just wait a few extra months to get that amazing result at the end of it. Don't cut it short by thinking, oh, it's not working for you. If you're losing weight, if you're getting leaner, if you're getting defined in your arms, we know it's working. You just need to be patient with that midsection and ramp that activity up so that you can go super high with it to burn a lot more calories.